Welcome to Game Time, presented by State Farm. Chris Miles here with David Griffin and Brendan Haywood. The Spurs and the Thunder, our game you'll see right here on NBA TV at 8. We're here to get you ready for that, the rematch, if you call it that. 3 games being played right now and 1 already done. We'll keep you up to speed with those as well. But first, according to multiple reports, 34-year-old J.J. Barea tore his Achilles, out for the season. Brendan, this is a former teammate of yours. If this is the case, because again, these are reports right now, how great of an impact has he had on the Dallas Mavericks with his career?
J.J. Barea has had a huge impact on the Dallas Mavericks since he's been there because he brings energy. He's the same person every day. Everybody talks about the run that he had from the pick and roll standpoint in 2011 and what he did for that championship team. But he was, as good as he was on the court, he's an even better person, better locker room guy. That's one of the main reasons why the Mavericks still have him around is because he can still play, and he's a good person, type of person you want, the type of veteran you want to help lead your young guys into the next generation. So it's unfortunate to see that he's hurt right now, and this is a serious injury. I'm not sure what this means for his career, but we're wishing him a speedy recovery and hope he comes back soon.
Yeah, I just don't think it happens very often that a bench player who's averaging 10.9 points and 5.6 assists has the impact on a team that a 34-year-old J.J. Barea has had on this group. He, along with Luka Doncic, have become really a dynamic duo in the minutes they've played together. And over 200 minutes together, they were outscoring opponents by 15.8 points per 100 possessions. It's a really big number, and it's something that's helped ease Luka into the NBA as well. So in addition to everything he means to the team as a whole, this could have a fairly profound impact on Luka and maybe put him in a tough spot for the next few games as he tries to find his fit again.
Certainly wishing the best for J.J. Barea, a fan favorite down there in Dallas and a champion as well. Detroit, L.A. Clippers, early game today. And, Steve Ballmer, what's up?
I'm out of here. No doubt for you, Mr. Bomber.
I don't think they're friends anymore.
Yeah, I doubt that.
But you know, the crowd still showing some love for Blake Griffin out there in L.A. Spent 8 seasons there. And of course, had some amazing plays. Glimpse of the past from Blake, showing the Clippers what he used to give their fans. Now for the Pistons.
Great footwork, and now you see this is what he's really worked on and what he's really developed the last couple of years, the ability to stretch the defense all the way out to the three-point line, and that's a tough shot, nasty step back for Blake Griffin.
In case you didn't realize, those were all from the first half. 26 points for Blake by the break. Second half, that's vintage Blake.
That looks like Blake Griffin.
Lou Will also contributing.
Nice floater in the lane.
You got a 7-point game.
There's my
and
guy.
LA right back into this.
There's my guy, Montrezl Harrell. He hates rims.
Blake Griffin's like, that's me back then. Now I do this. 44 points for Blake Griffin. Montrezl Harrell again, going vintage Blake to the basket, making it a 3-point game. And Lou Will tying it up in the fourth quarter.
Is
22
Lou Will
points for
ever
him.
anything other than vintage Lou Will, by the way?
Nope, that is it.
Vintage and clutch.
Those are the 2 words that describe him. Andre Drummond dunking and giving the Pistons a 3-point lead. How about some defense?
That was a foul. That's not any defense.
Yeah, or a mugging.
That is a clear foul.
Hey, no blood, no foul, right? There you go. Blake Griffin running the clock out, and there's some issues, and of course, with who else? Who's that guy to miss? Patrick Beverly. But Lou Will showing the love, not the hate.
Patrick Beverly, he gets into it with a lot of guys, man. Gets under a lot of people's skin.
That list is long.
Huh?
It's a long list.
And Patrick Beverly always looks like he wants to razzle-dazzle. One of these days, he's actually going to get to somebody. We're going to see if he can actually fight.
Well, here's Blake Griffin on that reunion he had with the Clippers today.
Can't say that I really prepared for it. I mean, I looked forward to seeing people that I hadn't seen in forever, people that, like I said, I've grown to be very, very close with over my time here. And but most importantly, I mean, for us, this is a part of the season. I mean, we need wins right now. So coming in and focusing and getting that done was the most important thing for us. For 9 years now, as soon as I'm done doing my pregame shooting, I make sure there's a path and I take off running to the locker room and I don't stop running. So. A lot of you know that. A lot of you have been here for a long time, and a lot of you have seen me do that before. So I don't change that for anybody. to tweet out something like that, like what you did, I thought was kind of because you know that. But that's what it was, plain and simple. It wasn't anything planned. Every single game I've done this for I don't know how long. So.
Would you shake his hand if it wasn't prior to your warm-up?
I'm honestly not here to answer hypothetical questions, to be honest.
Well, Blake certainly seemed a little ticked off about what happened before the game, saying that's just part of his pregame routine. But he was certainly fired up once the game started, Brendan.
Yeah, and you see it while he's hitting these tough shots. That's a very tough step back right there. And he was able to get it cooking from all angles, have 44 big points. This is an excellent drive by Blake. He sees the lane, takes off, soars through the lane. No one from the Clippers wanted anything to do with that dunk. And this right here is the evolution of Blake, the new point forward. He's initiating the offense, and once he gets the switch, count this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not coming, 7. 7 dribbles and a bully ball move into the paint before anybody comes over to help. Blake is showing you a lot of diversity in his game right now. He came into this league as a guy that was mostly just an athletic dunker. Now he has added a different level of skill. He's able to take advantage of you in all aspects, whether it's behind the three-point line, whether it's with step-back jumpers, or in the post.
It's interesting, too. He came into the league as a dominant rebounder as well. And playing with Andre Drummond, they don't need that as much. And playing with the backcourt that he has, they need the playmaker Blake Griffin is. And so I think Dwayne Casey's empowered him very much so to take some questionable shots, quite frankly, even if he makes them. I'm not quite sure I feel great about the 24-foot step back. But at the same time, it's what they need from him right now. They need him to carry the mail. And in the month of January, he's averaging 6 assists and only 5.8 rebounds. So he has really evolved as a player and now is almost to the point where he's playing more like a 3 than a 4.
But is that working? Because Detroit came into this game with just 4 wins in their last 20 games. That's even with Blake averaging a career high over 25 points a game. Why is this not working for them?
They just don't have a backcourt that fits together with the rest of the pieces. Relative to Reggie Jackson and Bruce Brown, Bruce was 0 for 7 tonight. Bruce is a kid who you saw on that defensive stop at the end on Lou Williams. Maybe it's a foul, maybe it's not, but Bruce is identified by his grit and toughness. Reggie Jackson is a scorer, and tonight he went 4 for 18, but he's not a set-you-up point guard. And what this team really lacks right now is what they lost in Ish Smith's injury. When Ish Smith plays and is available to them, they have more of a point guard who pushes tempo and sets other people up, and they really lack that right now, and I think you see that in their results.
Well, you hit it right on the head. The biggest thing and the biggest reason why this team isn't succeeding is because they don't have, I won't want to say NBA level, but they don't have a high-powered backcourt. When you see a lot of these teams that are powered by their front court, either you have to have guys that can make plays or you have to be surrounded by an incredible amount of shooting. And when you look at this team from the backcourt standpoint, they kind of lack that. Reggie Bullock comes in there sometimes and gives them some pop from a shooting standpoint. But from playmakers in the backcourt, this team is severely lacking that. And Reggie Jackson does have some skills, but normally his playmaking is for himself. That's evident in the fact that he only averages 4 assists, even though he is supposed to be a point guard.
That's a great point that you make, and that's why we're seeing Point Blake at this point in his career. Memphis and Miami already in action this early evening, and it's Dwayne Wade. He provides that spark in the backcourt his entire career. Miami ahead in the fourth quarter over Memphis. And we're going to see some Kentucky bigs go head-to-head. Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, going to tip off at 8 o'clock. That should be a good one between Big Cat and the Bravo.
In scoring at 33.9 points per game. Get this, it's 5 points per game higher than number 2, which is Anthony Davis. 5 points, it's amazing. Tonight against the Cavs, he has a chance to extend his streak of 30-plus point games. And since the merger, Kobe has the longest streak at 16, Harden and McGrady at 14, Moses Malone at 13, and Kevin Durant at 12. So we have set the over-under for tonight in James Harden's line at 35. Are you guys over or under?
I'm over. But, I'm hesitant because he might.
Why are you hesitant?
Because the game might be get out of hand against the Cavs. He won't get a chance to play as many minutes. But if I'm I won't say betting man. If I'm picking, I'm saying James Harden will have more than 35. But I'm a little worried that he can get going early.
I'm not worried. I think he's going to have the over. And then I understand it's the Cavaliers, but the Cavaliers sometimes can jump up and shock you. And then you know how it is, Smitty. Sometimes in January, the dog days of the NBA, you start looking around and looking at your opponent, and you start looking at who you're playing instead of how you should be playing. You start looking at the name on the front of their jersey instead of taking care of your own business, and you relax a little bit. So
if you relax, you still think he's getting 35.
I don't think he can't relax. I'm talking about the rest of his teammates. James has to go for 30, 35, 40 every night just for them to have a chance. And so I think James is going to come out and do what he does. He has such high usage, he can never really relax. The problem is everybody else, will they relax? And so I think that this game might be, I don't think it's going to be close, but I think it's close enough that he stays in it and that he's able to get his 35
My concern is if you watch them play pick and roll, and they're going to be so concerned, and I think there's no Tristan Thompson tonight. So now he might have 25 points in the first half and not really get a chance to play that many minutes in the second half.
We shall see.
We shall see. But if it was a 48 game, he plays 40 minutes, he's getting 35.
I agree with that. No Love, no Hood, no Nance. The Cavs are very short-handed.
Tristan Thompson playing?
Okay. He may be playing tonight. I do know that those three are out. And we shift gears now to the Nets. The Nets are one of the best stories of the season in the NBA. And entering tonight's game against the Raptors, they're in 7th place at 21-22. That's in the East, of course. They won 28 games a year ago. And since December 7th, they're 13-4, thanks in large part to the 3-ball. They're 5th in makes, 4th in percentage during that span. Are the Nets the most surprising team this season?
No, I like them, but B. Wood said he came up with a team, and I totally agree with him, the Denver Nuggets. But I like the Brooklyn Nets. The reason why is I love what this coaching staff has done. If I'm looking for a team in the future that, say, can make the jump in another year or two to make some noise, maybe around the 5th or 6th in the Eastern Conference, I'm going Brooklyn Nets. I think they're Karis LeVert away from getting a chance to be around the 5th or 6th seeded team in the Eastern Conference.
I think the biggest surprise in the NBA is not the Nets. I think it's the Denver Nuggets, and it's strictly because I thought Denver was going to be a team that might sneak into playoffs at 7 or 8. No way in the world I think they would be 28-12 at this point in the season, number 1 in the Western Conference. And when you factor in, Will Barton's been hurt, Isaiah Thomas hasn't played, Michael Porter hasn't played, and on top of all the other injuries they've had,
Harris has been out.
Gary Harris has been out at times. Like, you would have thought that this team wouldn't be rated as high. So the biggest surprise to me is clearly the Denver Nuggets. Jokic has done an incredible job. Tim Conley, their president of basketball operations, has put together a very, very deep team, a very, very competitive team full of young talent that can compete on a nightly basis. So the Nets are a big-time story, but the biggest surprise to me has to be the Denver Nuggets.
I love it. I love it. All right, so the last time we saw the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were celebrating Ryan Saunders' first win as an NBA head coach. That was Tuesday in Oklahoma City. Tonight, the Wolves host the Mavericks in Saunders' home debut, and he spoke about that earlier today.
Yeah, if I take a step back and do, see it as a personal thing, it is special. There's no getting around it. Spent a lot of time here in these halls, a lot of time, taking the route with my dad down 55 to the game, which I did today. So it was kind of special, and try to take it in, but ultimately just want to compete against a team we're fighting for playoff position.
So, B-Wood, I'll start with you. Just generally, what are your thoughts on, the Tibbs dismissal, Ryan Saunders taking over, a thrilling and somewhat improbable win at OKC the other night? Just generally, your overarching thoughts on Saunders and the Wolves.
I have, with Tibbs dismissal, I don't really have a problem with it. I know Tibbs has done a great job in this league, but I think that if you don't think that he's going to be the coach for you in the future, then why not go ahead and get him out of the way right now, get somebody in place that can establish the type of rules, the type of style that you want played moving forward, and especially with the young guys they have. When you talk about Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins, you need somebody in there that's going to basically be pushing what you want pushed. And Tibbs, to a certain degree, he's a dinosaur in the coaching game from a defensive standpoint and an offensive standpoint. He was great in 2013. But the game has changed. More stretch fours, more stretch fives has totally changed how you play the pick and roll. His pick and roll strategy doesn't work as well as it used to. So I think that was holding this team back to a certain degree. I have no problem with Ryan Saunders. I had a chance to not play with him, but he coached me. He was assistant coach for me in Washington, D.C. for one season. He's more than adequate. He can do this job. He's grew up in basketball his whole life, a basketball lifer. I have no doubt he's the right man for this position.
The Timberwolves, when you have a coach and general manager / with Tibbs, and that trust was gone between ownership and Tibbs when everything was going on. It was time. I mean, I'm glad. I'm like V Wood. Why wait? It was time because that was never going to be repaired. You can tell they were at odds. And when the owner said, I'm going to start making the trades, you have a guy that you gave the title of coach and GM, you know the trust was gone. And I think right now, give Ryan Saunders a lot of credit. He did a phenomenal job. You love the way the team rallied around him and celebrated. Look, let's see. They played well that first game. The one thing I love about it, they attacked more than I ever saw. Got to the line 40 times. That was on their second time. I liked the way they had the offense going, and I like this substitution pattern. Anytime you see a new coach, you start to zero in on everything and breaking down. In that first game, I know it was just one. He did a good job.
Well, they're going to get a shot in the arm tonight because Derrick Rose is going to come back. You saw him warming up. He's missed the past 6 games with an ankle injury. He will come back for the Wolves tonight. He is right there, in my opinion, with Lou Williams for 6th Man of the Year. He's just been one of the great stories individually in the league. Can't wait for that ball game. It's Dallas at Minnesota, and we're just getting started on Game Time Live, presented by State Farm. Coming up, it's Smitty's Top 5 Plays.
Under the rim, here we go. Watch this. A jab got him.
Oh my goodness.
Down he goes.
Oh, was that UNC legend Justin Jackson?
I didn't want to say it.
I might have to take his legend status back.